Anna's journey is one of resilience and empowerment. It begins with her discovery of her husband Ronan's infidelity, a moment that would become the catalyst for her taking control of her life. Anna, a respected lawyer, valued her privacy greatly, and for this story, she uses pseudonyms to share her experience. The foundation of Anna and Ronan's relationship seemed solid at first. They were in love, married, and had built a life together. However, as time passed, Anna noticed unsettling signs of Ronan's infidelity, his avoidance, excessive time spent away from home, and frequent business trips. Despite Anna's success in her legal career, Ronan demeaned her achievements, comparing her unfavorably to himself and his business endeavors. The turning point came when Anna, driven by her suspicions during one of Ronan's trips, uncovered evidence of his affair on an old laptop. She found a secret Facebook account linking Ronan to another woman, someone he apparently found more desirable than Anna, often belittling Anna's appearance and dedication to her work. Confronted with the truth, Anna challenged Ronan. His response was cold and dismissive, further wounding Anna by stating she was no longer interesting to him, consumed by what he deemed pointless cases and lacking the superficial allure he sought. He showed no remorse, instead expressing relief that his secret was out, eagerly discussing his future with the other woman and dismissing Anna as unworthy. This betrayal, coupled with Ronan's cruel words, deeply hurt Anna but also sparked a transformation. Refusing to accept Ronan's narrative, Anna stood firm against his accusations and prepared to assert her worth and rights. Ronan's blatant disrespect and eagerness to end their marriage to pursue a life with his mistress only fueled Anna's determination. Despite the pain, she recognized this moment as an opportunity to reclaim her life and dignity. Anna's legal expertise became her greatest ally. She understood her rights and the implications of their shared assets, including Ronan's business. Ronan, underestimating Anna, expected a quick and favorable divorce for himself. However, Anna was prepared to fight for what was rightfully hers, leveraging her legal acumen to navigate the divorce proceedings. Throughout this ordeal, Anna remained composed and strategic. She moved out, asserting her independence and signaling to Ronan that she was no longer the woman he thought he could control. Ronan's attempts to belittle and intimidate Anna fell flat, as she countered every move with strength and intelligence. As the divorce process unfolded, Ronan's facade crumbled. His financial recklessness and overconfidence in his legal position left him vulnerable. Anna, on the other hand, emerged stronger, securing her rightful share of their assets and starting anew. Anna's story is not just about the end of a marriage, but about rebirth and empowerment. It's a testament to her resilience, intelligence, and the unyielding spirit of a woman who refused to be defined by another's betrayal. In reclaiming her life, Anna found a deeper sense of self-worth and the courage to pursue happiness on her own terms. As Anna faced the painful reality of her husband Ronan's betrayal, his words stung deeply. He proudly admitted his affair, diminishing the love and dedication Anna had given him for over a decade. Her heart broke as she questioned how he could disregard their shared life and the vows they had made. Ronan's harsh dismissal of their marriage and Anna's worth left her feeling worthless, as he bragged about his newfound success and diminished her achievements and appearance. Despite Ronan's cruelty, claiming he had moved on and decided on divorce, Anna was left to grapple with the shock and the delivery of divorce papers from a sympathetic friend. This moment, though heartbreaking, sparked a fierce determination within Anna. She resolved not to let this defeat her, but instead to stand up for herself and assert her rights, especially when she learned of a prenuptial agreement that entitled her to half of Ronan's business if he was unfaithful. With newfound resolve, Anna quickly moved out of what was once their shared home, reclaiming her independence and sending a clear message to Ronan that she was not to be underestimated. Despite Ronan's attempts to intimidate her with his lawyer's reputation, Anna remained steadfast, ready to fight for what she deserved. This story of betrayal turned into a tale of empowerment. Anna, once shattered by Ronan's betrayal, found strength in her resolve to not only move on, but to ensure justice was served. Through her journey, Anna demonstrated the power of resilience, the importance of standing up for oneself, and the ability to reclaim one's life after heartbreak. I've decided to bring my business to you, and that's a decision I'm sticking to for the time being. From now on, our interactions will be minimal, as I'm committed to maintaining my distance. I was mentally prepared to tackle any challenges that might come my way. From this point forward, I have no desire to have direct conversations with you. If you need to communicate, it will have to be through my attorneys. Additionally, I expect you to vacate my property. When Ronan made his demands, it ignited a deep fury within me. It's surprising how feelings of anger and resentment can strengthen one's resolve when confronted with such blatant disrespect. Suddenly, my thoughts became sharper, and I found myself nearly amused by Clark's naivety. He clearly underestimated who he was dealing with, and I doubted his lawyer Devin was any the wiser. I scheduled a meeting with Devin at a local cafe. Upon spotting me, Devin's initial reaction was one of nervousness, which only subsided when he recognized who I was. Although confident, Devin's assurance waned. He was competent, but hadn't expected to go up against someone of my caliber. Ronan had never viewed me as a formidable figure, so Devin was completely unprepared for our meeting. His anxiety was evident, his hands trembling, but I chose not to intimidate him further. After all, he wasn't the cause of my troubles. "Hello, Devin." "It's good to see you," I greeted him, noting his startled reaction. "If you're harboring any doubts, let me clarify them for you. Yes, I am the wife. Mom, I'm so sorry. I didn't expect you to be here," Devin stuttered, caught off guard by my presence. I went on to explain that our last names differed because I kept my maiden name for professional use after getting married. Devin seemed to relax slightly but was still uncomfortable. "So, I'm assuming you're looking to extend this legal battle." "That's what my client has informed me," he said cautiously. "Your client has been feeding you misinformation, Devin. It's him who's interested in dragging this case out, not me." "Didn't he mention that to you?" I challenged, letting my reputation as a seasoned lawyer do the talking. Devin fidgeted under my gaze. "I'm skilled in asking pointed questions," but I reassured him. "You don't need to respond, Devin. I've known Ronan for over a decade. I was married to that fool, after all. I understand his motives all too well." Feeling a bit sorry for Devin's situation, I chose to be forthcoming. "Since I know you and it doesn't seem fair to leave you in the dark, I'll share the real reason behind this divorce." "What do you mean, ma'am?" Devin asked, visibly confused. "Did my so-called husband bother to mention that he was unfaithful?" I revealed, opening up about the true nature of our dispute. I looked straight at Devin, my question hanging in the air, waiting for his reaction. His response was all I needed to confirm my doubts. Caught off guard by my disclosure, Devin's surprise was evident. Admitting to a colleague that I had been cheated on was not easy for me. It was a blow to my pride, and admittedly, it hurt. But I knew better than to show my emotions. Despite feeling humiliated, I reminded myself that I still held an advantage in this situation. Devin, seemingly unaware of my husband's deceit, replied, "Oh no, I wasn't informed about that. But he did caution me that you might come up with unfounded claims to tarnish his reputation." "Poor you, Devin," I said a bit sarcastically. "Your client has misled you. But perhaps you'd be pleased to hear that Clark regards you highly as a lawyer." "That's flattering, but I can't imagine being in your league," Devin admitted with a touch of humility. "I wish he had mentioned that his wife is also a lawyer. He only told me you worked at a law firm." My husband had always had a way of belittling my achievements and diminishing my influence. Staying with him for so long was my oversight. But fortunately, I had the foresight to sign a prenuptial agreement to protect myself. I shared this with Devin, who was visibly startled at the mention of a primp. The concept seemed unfamiliar to him, making it clear that Ronan had yet again left out crucial information, probably hoping I'd overlooked the agreement. "Well, it doesn't matter now," I continued, seeing Devin's confusion. "The cat's out of the bag about the primp." Devin, now completely bewildered, asked, "There's a primp involved? Your husband never mentioned that. Do you have any evidence?" "Indeed, I have more than enough proof," I reassured him, revealing that I had brought the necessary documents. I had anticipated Ronan's attempt to evade the repercussions of his actions, And don't worry about the proof of his affair. I've come prepared for that as well. It's not my intention to prolong this divorce. The sooner it's finalized, the better for everyone involved. This reassurance seemed to ease Devon's mind slightly, though he was clearly still processing the new information. I would really appreciate a chance to review the documents, Mom. And any evidence of the affair would be crucial too. Of course, Devon. Like I said, I've brought everything with me. We won't be dragging this out. It's in everyone's best interest to resolve this as quickly as possible. I calmly handed over every piece of evidence to Devon, ranging from messages and photographs to official documents, all neatly compiled and ready from my handbag. As I passed them over nonchalantly, I was confident about the strength of my case. Devon meticulously examined each piece of evidence, his expression growing increasingly solemn. Finally, he acknowledged the undeniable proof before him. It's clear you have concrete evidence for everything, ma'am. This was all unknown to me until now. I gathered as much, I responded. I also mentioned how challenging it must be to deal with clients who aren't forthcoming, especially when facing an opponent who is equally matched in legal prowess. Devon agreed, indicating the meeting had served its purpose and hinting at a need to reevaluate his stance on representing his client. He mentioned someone would get in touch with me, though he couldn't confirm it would be him, a hint I chose not to dwell on. After thanking him for his time, I left the cafe and headed straight to my office to further prepare for the divorce proceedings. Any sadness I had felt was replaced by a determined rage to ensure Ronan faced the consequences of his actions. True to the chaotic nature of our dispute, Clark called me directly the next day, despite explicit instructions to avoid personal contact. His tone was furious, a reaction I found both amusing and predictable. He demanded to know what I had said to his lawyer, accusing me of causing his resignation. I couldn't help but point out the irony of his call, considering his earlier demands for distance. Clark's frustration was palpable as he threatened to take away his family business, a claim I met with skepticism. I calmly informed him of my readiness to face whatever legal battle lay ahead, confident in my position and the evidence I had compiled. Clark's threats did little to intimidate me. Instead, they reinforced my resolve to see this through, secure in the knowledge that his actions had left him with limited options. Clark threatened to defeat me in court, confidently declaring I would beg him for mercy. I couldn't help but respond with a mix of amusement and advice. Well, that sounds like a grand plan. Clark, good luck. But let me give you a friendly tip as a lawyer. Don't forget to inform your next lawyer about your affair and the prenuptial agreement. After my words, Anna simply ended the call, which only made me chuckle. He was in a dire situation, yet seemed blissfully unaware of the gravity of his predicament. He might search the city for a lawyer willing to take his case, but my reputation precedes me, making most think twice before crossing paths with me. Furthermore, anyone swayed by his narrative would soon face a harsh return to reality once I laid out my evidence. Clark's bold claim that he would make me plead for mercy only convinced me further that it would be him knocking on my door for forgiveness sooner rather than later. My prediction proved accurate when one morning, as I was preparing for work, I heard a knock at my door at an unusually early hour. To my surprise, it was Clark, looking defeated and exhausted. I let him in, preferring not to attract neighborhood attention to a potential spectacle. "Make this quick, Ronan. I don't have time to waste," I told him bluntly, wondering why he was here when our agreement was to communicate solely through our attorneys. "About that, I haven't found a good divorce lawyer yet," he admitted, sounding deflated. "That's unfortunate for you," I replied, not hiding my indifference. "You might want to speed up your search. I hear your mistress is quite eager." He attempted to change the subject, accusing me of sabotaging his attempts to find a lawyer, claiming it was unfair. I couldn't help but laugh at the accusation. It was astonishing that Clark would blame me for his own failures, underestimating my professionalism and overestimating his influence. "Oh, Ronan, that's quite the accusation. Let me clear up that misunderstanding for you," I said, ready to confront his baseless claims with the truth. "I haven't been undermining you in any way, Ronan. The problems you're facing are entirely of your own making." When you asked in disbelief what you did wrong, it made me wonder if you genuinely didn't see the issues with your actions. Should I remind you of the lies you've told your lawyers about your affair and the primp? Misleading them only sets them up for embarrassment in court. It's naive to think any reputable lawyer would eagerly represent someone as unreliable as you. And yes, my reputation in the field does make people think twice before going against me. You might think little of me, but I have established a respectable standing in our profession. Hearing this, Ronan admitted, I realize that now, Sophia. I've tried to be honest with other lawyers, but none seem willing to take my case. That's the consequence of trying to challenge a solid prenup and not thinking your affair through properly. The damage is already done, and no sensible lawyer would support your cause. You're essentially asking to hand over half of your business to me, I pointed out, noting the dread on Clark's face at the thought of losing his business. He had hoped to find a competent lawyer who could delay the divorce, keeping me in limbo until I would give up and leave without claiming my share of his company. However, as the reality set in that no lawyer would side with him, and finding anyone willing to confront me was proving futile, he resorted to his last option. He began to cry and plead. Anna, you know how much the business means to me. Please, I beg you, take everything else but leave the business intact. Why should I, Clark? You included the clause about splitting the business if you were unfaithful. Did you think I'd just relinquish my rights after your betrayal? I deserve what's rightfully mine, I retorted. He tried to appeal to me by admitting his mistake and suggesting we give our marriage another chance, claiming the ordeal could strengthen our bond. His plea only elicited laughter from me. The sheer nerve of him to think I might consider reconciling after everything was astonishing. I was aware of his paused affair and the rumors of discontent between him and his mistress. But his misguided belief that this might sway me to return was utterly mistaken. I had already learned my lesson the hard way by marrying him once. My resolve was firm, and there was no turning back from the decision to move forward without him, knowing well the worth of my dignity and the strength of my case. Clark's sudden desperation to reconcile seemed utterly irrational. Thinking we can simply overlook your actions and start over as if nothing happened is delusional, Clark. I've not made it this far in life by being naive. It's clear to me now, your urge to reconcile isn't rooted in lost love, but in the fear of losing half your business. Anna, we were happy once. Can't we try to move past this mistake and begin anew? I promise. The other woman is out of the picture for good, he pleaded. There's no need for promises, Clark. That woman will likely leave on her own once she realizes the financial aftermath of our divorce for you. As for me, this situation has been an enlightening escape from our farcical marriage. I should be thanking you for revealing your true self before our lives became more entangled with children. Now, you'll face the consequences of your actions. That was the last of what I had to say to him. Ronan continued to plead, begging me not to dismantle his business. His desperation was pitiful, yet it didn't sway me in the slightest. Instead, it reminded me of the countless nights I cried myself to sleep over the betrayal of the man I once called my husband. Witnessing his downfall was a bitter form of satisfaction, marking the end of my quest for vengeance. What I needed now was a fresh start, a clean break from this chaos. The karmic backlash against Clark was swift and severe. He spent weeks attempting to persuade me to return, but I ignored every attempt. My focus was on moving forward, especially since the divorce proceedings were already in motion. I appointed a colleague from my law firm to represent me, as I wasn't a divorce lawyer myself. Moreover, I sought to keep our interactions to an absolute minimum. After a month of futile efforts, Clark finally conceded and sought a lawyer, aiming for a straightforward separation. He knew that dragging this through the courts would only amplify his embarrassment and drain his resources on court-appointed attorneys. In the end, he chose to retreat, a decision that underscored the inevitability of our parting ways. Following the prenuptial agreement, referred to here as primp, securing the divorce was straightforward for me, especially armed with ample evidence of Ronan's infidelity. According to the terms, Ronan was obligated to forfeit half of his business to me. Despite his displeasure, he found himself cornered with no alternative but to comply. We even presented him with the option to buy out my share, but his finances were in shambles. You might wonder how Ronan, a supposedly successful business owner, ended up penniless. The answer lies in his extravagant spending on his mistress, who, upon realizing the forthcoming dent in Ronan's wealth, ceased all communication with him. It seemed she had no interest in a partner without deep pockets, and soon her reputation deterred others from pursuing her, a fitting twist of karma. With half of his business now out of his hands, Ronan faced a significant dip in his income. The financial strain forced him to sell his house, as he could no longer afford its upkeep or mortgage. He's now living in a condo, a stark contrast to his previous luxurious residence. Desperate to regain his former financial status, he even attempted reconciliation with me, hoping to consolidate his business once more. Needless to say, his efforts were in vain. As for me, life has been flourishing. I've delegated the management of my portion of Ronan's business to a competent individual, and the returns have been exceedingly beneficial. The additional income has allowed me to elevate my lifestyle, culminating in the purchase of a new mansion. Between my legal career and business ventures, I'm thriving, enjoying the rewards of my endeavors. The outcome of the divorce has been immensely favorable for me. Instead of being victimized by my ex-husband and his mistress, their schemes backfired, improving my life substantially while leaving them to grapple with the consequences of their actions. In the end, I emerged stronger and more successful, fully embracing a future filled with promise and prosperity.